Why matters. The question why is a really big question. It's the biggest of questions, and it really matters. When it comes to your life, it really matters how you answer that question why. Why you exist, what's your purpose, what's your meaning, why has God put you here, what is your purpose, what's your why. And for us as a church, our why is easy. Like we have stripped away all of the other religious junk that clouds it, we tried to take down all of the barriers that get in the way for churches to really just connect with people. And we try to say like, our why? Well, we're for you. We're for your friends. We're for this county. And we're most importantly for Jesus. The why matters, and it changes the how. And just so you're clear, our how is something we communicate a lot around here. We communicate it with signs, and it's on paper printouts. We try to keep it everywhere, and it's really simple because I need really simple. So it's come, grow, go. And it kind of defines the strategy that's built off of our purpose. It's the strategy for how we do things as a church and how we do things. And it's almost like, man, we just want to come as you are, whoever you are, from wherever you are. Come. We're going to take down the barriers. We're going to make this a place that your friends love to come. We're going to make it a place that you're proud of being a part of. We're going to make it a meaningful experience. Just come. Bring your baggage. Bring the skeletons you have in your closet. Bring your fears. Bring your doubts. Just come. Because coming to a place with all of that stuff, a place where you can hear about Jesus and learn about Him, it's the best place to be. And then we talk about grow. And then we talk about going and changing your world. We say, come as you are, but don't stay that way. And today what we're talking about is the hardest of the three. You see, it's easy for me to talk about come. Hey, bring it. Like, let's make this a place where you're not judged if you got tons of tattoos or gauge rings in your ears. Let's make this a place where you're not judged if you look differently or you act differently or you got some junk in your past. Let's make this a place. It's easy to talk about that. It's easy to get excited about that. It's equally as easy to talk about go. I could come in here and give you a pep talk about how we need to serve and love our community, how the least of these are out there, and by loving the least of these people, we love Jesus. It's an exciting talk that'll motivate us all to like go out and just love people better and serve people better, and it's easy to talk about that. But you know what's the hardest part to talk about? Growth. Let's be honest, I don't like people telling me what to do. I don't like people insinuating that I need to do anything. And I sure don't want to show up to church and have somebody on a stage with a microphone attached to their face be pointing out things in my life that I need to change. I don't want to do that. I'm sure you don't want to do that either. Like, I don't like people telling me what to do. I don't like to acknowledge out loud for sure that I need growth, but I do. See, there's no such thing as a perfect person, which means you, just like me, just like everybody you bump into out there, has areas in their life, growth points, areas that they could use a little work on. You don't have to go very far. Like, just ask my family. And they'll tell you, Josh has some stuff he's gotta. I don't like talking about growth, but the reality is it would also be pretty arrogant for me to stand up here and say and insinuate that I have everything all together. It'd be pretty arrogant for me to put out a bunch of Facebook and Instagram posts and say, man, my life is perfect. That's just not true. You're so tired of that. Of this pretense and pretending that anyone has it all together, that they're good, that they've done it. Hey, look at me, I got it all down. Just do what I did. Just listen to what I said. Just look at my life because I clearly have it all figured out. And while I dressed a little better this morning, you all know that's not true. Also, don't get used to the jacket. Scott was wearing the same shirt as me, and the last thing I want to do is be twinning with him. It'd be pretty arrogant for me to say that I don't need to grow in any area of my life. The reality and the truth is, even with this microphone attached to my face, there are lots of areas. Let's just be really clear about that. There are lots of areas in my life I need growth in. And while I don't like them pointed out, and I don't like to even talk about them, the reality is, if I want to go deeper in my relationships, if I want more out of life, if I want to step into the purpose God has for me, if I want to be able to live in the abundance of heart that he talked about, and that was abundance of heart, that wasn't abundance of stuff that he promised in John. If I want to step into that, I have to go deeper. And deeper can be scary. Deeper can be really scary. In fact, when I was a kid, I grew up in this little town called Cressona, and our parents used to kick us out every summer day, go outside. There was no such thing as a helicopter parent that just hovers over everything. They were more like, I don't know what you'd describe them. They were more like Boeing 747 parents. They just kick you out like, go fly with the kids in Cressona. I learned a lot on the streets of Cressona. It was all gangster and stuff, like survival of the fittest. Toughens you up. But I was about 10 years old, one of those summer days where we got kicked out of the house. There was no video games to play, so we rolled up to my buddy's house. His name was John David, and we were going to hang out with my friend John David and watch a movie. I was the only one that showed up, so I rode my bike up to his house. I didn't get to watch a lot of movies in my home, so this was exciting stuff for me. I roll up to his house. John meets me at the door. He's like, great, man, come on in. We got popcorn, grab some sodas, sit down. I didn't even know what movie was playing. I didn't even care what movie was playing. He pulled out this little VHS tape. I know none of you know what that is, but there once upon a time, movies played on this little square thing with film thing in it. Anyway, he popped it into the video player and he started playing the movie, and there we sat. I'm so excited eating my popcorn with a little 10-year-old smile on my face, and all of a sudden I heard, what? There's some girl swimming on the thing. I'm like, all right, well, it's an interesting start to a movie. She's swimming out there. This is going to be fun. And then to my horror, a shark comes out of nowhere and eats this girl. It was Jaws. Man, I was so unprepared for that, and it totally messed me up. Can I tell you, as a grown man with kids, when I take my kids to the beach, I have nightmares about sharks eating me. I could literally draw it out for you. They're vivid nightmares. Like, I'll wake up in my bed in a cold sweat screaming, and Jen's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I had a nightmare about sharks. You want to lose your man card, wake up sweating and tell your wife you had a nightmare about sharks. Later that day, we finished the movie. We rode our bikes down to the Cressona pool. Man, I was so terrified I wouldn't get in the deep end. I was sure if I jumped in that deep end, a shark was going to come out of that drain. Come out of the drain and scoop me right up. Going deeper is scary. Just like I'm scared of the deep end because of sharks, we get scared of going deeper because it's easier to kind of stay on the surface level in life. It gives us an illusion that we're taking care of things, accomplishing something. It's always scarier to go deeper. But going deeper in your relationship with God, going deeper in your relationships with others, it always is better. And while scary and maybe uncomfortable in the short term, being willing to trust God and go a step deeper leads you to the place where you start to find the fulfillment He has for you. It leads you to the place where you start to realize your purpose, your meaning, what He wants to do in your life and in your relationships and with your family. Going deeper, it's scary. but it's always better and it always leads you somewhere amazing. And the motivation for taking a step deeper, it should not be obligation. It shouldn't be a list of rules. It shouldn't be because, well, I just have to. As anyone will tell you, showing up to couples counseling just because you have to is not a great way to start. The motivation for true growth in your life and in your relationships, it should be love. I don't think there's a better place that captures this than Philippians chapter 1. It's an awesome passage that teaches us a bunch of really important things about growth. Paul was writing this letter to a church in Philippi, and they were people that he had been on the journey with. He loved them. He cared about them because love is always the motivator. When you really care about yourself, that kind of love and that leads you to want to better yourself. When you really care about someone else, you want to see them step into the future God has for them. Love. And love motivates us in the growth area that's most important in life. And it's our spiritual growth. You see, we're not supposed to grow spiritually out of sense of obligation or because of the rules we're supposed to check off or any of that other junk. It's God's love that draws us deeper into relationship with Him. It's His love that empowers us to live out the change we need in our own lives. It's His love that gently moves us to a better place, even through the uncomfort in the moment. So in Philippians chapter 1, it says this, I thank God every time I remember you. And as I read this, note like the relationship tone to it. This is like a letter to friends, to really important people in his life. I thank my God every time I remember you. In all my prayers for you, I always pray with joy because of your partnership in the gospel from the first day until now. Being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. That's growth rule number 1. If you want to go deeper in your relationship with God, if you want to go deeper in life in general, it starts with your relationship with God. And the first thing you have to understand is that God's still in the driver's seat. You see, you can't show up to the party and say, wow, this faith thing is amazing. I love Jesus, accept grace, and now I'm going to do it all by myself. If that's your approach, you're going to be living a very religious but a very empty life. You weren't created to manufacture your own purpose. You are created to live by works. That's called the law, and it doesn't work. You're created to follow and trust Jesus as He takes you where He wants to take you. And that's why the very first rule of growth right here is this. God does the growing. You just have to be willing to let Him. Sounds easy, right? But it's that willingness thing that we struggle with the most. It's a willingness to let go of control. It's a willingness to trust even when you don't see the results. It's a willingness to be stretched and challenged. It's a willingness to say, God, I like being in the driver's seat of my life, but I'm going to sit shotgun and let you have the wheel. Jesus, take the... How's that Carrie Underwood song go? Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay, I didn't ask you to sing it. You don't have to get smart about it. Jesus, take the wheel. That was not a planned comparison right there. That's the first thing about growth. So if you're taking notes, if you're writing stuff down, write that down. God grows you, just be willing. It's an easy checklist to wake up every day and go through. Am I willing today to just let God do some stuff in my life? Am I willing when I feel angry to let God kind of give that to God and say, is this right? Am I right to feel angry, or is there something deeper I need to look at? Am I willing to say, okay, God, you're right. I should forgive this person even though I don't want to, so I'm going to be willing. God will grow you. He does the heavy lifting. You just have to say yes. Be willing. So he goes on and he says, it's right for me to feel this way. Oh, and by the way, He's going to complete it. It's going to be good. It's right for me to feel this way about all of you since I have you in my heart. And whether I am in chains or defending and confirming the gospel, all of you share in God's grace with me. God can testify how I long for all of you with the affection of Jesus Christ. You see, the soil for growth is love and acceptance and truth. That's the soil that grows somebody. That's the good soil that helps you on your journey continue to go deeper, have the courage to trust, and take the one simple little next step in following Jesus. It's good soil, and good soil is love and truth. Ephesians 4:15 says, "Instead, speaking the truth in love, we will grow to become, in every respect," listen, "the mature body of Him who is the head, that is Christ." Like, truth and love is how you become more like Jesus, and that's the goal. Truth and love. You can't separate them from each other. They're bound. Like, if you just take love with no truth, you're not a good friend. You're just a yes man. You're just a fanboy or girl. You're just someone cheering on people with no real concern about where they end up. And what you find is those people in your life, they'll be there for you when things are going good, but when things fall apart, they're not anywhere to be found. See, being a good friend is not just saying yes all the time. I'm so thankful that I have friends in my life. I need these kind of friends. They'll come up to me and they'll say, "Hey man, like, you know I love you, right?" "Yeah, I know you love me." "You know I got your back no matter what. Like I got your back no matter what happens, no matter what anybody says. You know I got your back, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know you got my back. You know that no matter what you decide, no matter what happens next, I'm going to be there with you. No matter what happens, I'm going to be there with you. You know that, right?" "Yeah, man, I know that. Why are you giving me this lecture?" Well, there's some stuff I got to tell you. It might be hard to hear, but I'm telling it because I love you. You got to work on some stuff being a dad. You got to work on some stuff being a pastor. And they will lovingly share truth with me. They're not my fans. They're my friends. And we got to stop hitting the unfriend button every time someone who has demonstrated love to us tells us something that makes us a little uncomfortable. Like, it should be with love. If it's not with love, you can forget it. We also have to learn, right? Like, truth without love does not work. All you end up being is a jerk. You kick open the door to work and you walk in there and you're like, "Yo, listen up, everybody. I heard this awesome sermon and you all stink. You're lazy, you don't put in the right effort, you don't respect me, you're not loving each other. All you do is yell, you're so bad at this thing." How is that going to work? How's that going to work for you? You'll have fun growing up alone as a hobbit somewhere, right? Like your little cave in a hole in a mountain. That's no good. That's not what we're called to do. We're called to love. The cultural demand Jesus made was to love. Love and truth, they're inseparable. And we have to stop being people that just preach at people. Start demonstrating love, not just saying, "Hey," because this always happens. I think, "Hey man, I love you," but, right? Like, no, you don't. You show me you love me, and then you can speak into my life truth. And if there's somebody you want to share truth with in your life, try showing them love. Not just saying love, showing them love. And earn the right to speak some truth. Truth and love, they're inseparable. That's the second message here. And you see Paul is just filled with it as he's talking through this stuff. Showing love. The next thing is that the context, the deeper is always better. It says, "And this is my prayer, that your love may abound more and more in knowledge and depth of insight, so that you may be able to discern what is best and may be pure and blameless for the day of Christ, filled with the fruit of righteousness that comes through Jesus." Deeper is better. Deeper is better. It's the third thing. It's always better. It may be more uncomfortable, it may be scary, but it's always better. And the last thing from this passage, you ready? The context for growth is relationships. You'll be hard-pressed to find any place in here where someone's growth is not connected to a relationship. You'll be hard-pressed to find any place in here where someone grows and God hasn't used a relationship to grow them. The context for growth and if you do find it, email randyott@gracefreechurch.net. I'll make sure to screen his calls all week. Context is, you're welcome. Context is relationships. And I've said it. I've said this. I've shouted it at people. I've said, I don't need to go to church. I don't need people. I don't need others. I don't. I can do this. I got Jesus. That's all I need. I just need Jesus. That's it. I'm good with Jesus. And it's just so easy to get stuck in that frame of mind. And yeah, great. You got Jesus. That's awesome. That's the most important thing. But you're also not going to grow. Stop thinking you're the exception to the rule. We always need relationships to help us go deeper. And deeper is always better. The context for growth in your life, it's having people that know you. It's having people that love you, that demonstrate love to you, that can challenge you with truth in loving ways, people that will have your back no matter what, people that won't leave you when you destroy everything. People that will stick with you and walk with you on your journey and pick you up when you fall down. The context of growth in your life is relationships. You want to get unstuck in your spiritual walk? You want to get unstuck in your marriage? You want to get unstuck in your relationships, your friendships? You want to get unstuck in your purpose and meaning? If you want to get unstuck, hook up with some people that'll go on the journey with you. Realize that God will do the growing. All you have to do is say yes. Immerse yourself in places where the soil is good, where you are going to be loved and encouraged in love. Immerse yourselves in that. And just follow Him. Jesus was telling this story in Matthew chapter 13. He was walking around the area of the Sea of Galilee, and they had these roads, right? They were like roads with fields all around, like a lot of farming went down around there. And so the people walking around, they would have been like walking past the John Deere tractor. Not really. They didn't have John Deere tractors back then, but it was like sitting in Friedensburg, although probably, I would imagine it's smelling better than Friedensburg. I'm just kidding if you live in Friedensburg. You're sitting down somewhere with farms all over the place, and you're looking around, and it's like, man, there's farms everywhere. And Jesus just kind of plops down on the side of the road, and he starts talking about farming, and he says, hey, a farmer went out to sow a seed, and he scattered the seed. Okay, and then some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on the rocky places where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow. But when the sun came up, the plants were scorched, and they withered because they had no root. Other seed fell among the thorns, which grew up and choked the plants. Still other seed fell on good soil, where it produced a crop 100, 60, or 30 times what was sown. I love that it starts big and then ends small. It's just a crazy story. Whoa, really, Jesus? Weird. Okay, what am I supposed to get out of that? I see the field. You just sit down and tell us about farming? Is this a farming lesson? Are we supposed to be farmers now? I thought we were fishing for men. But if you're switching it up, that's all right. I got some rakes at home. I don't know. I'll find some good soil. I got it. Don't throw seeds into the thorn bushes. Got it. It's confusing. His disciples were confused, and obviously they had a ton of questions because Jesus didn't really break it down for them, but he was about to. And so in verse 18, he makes it clear. You ready for this? He says, listen, this is what the parable means. When anyone hears the message about the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away what was sown in their hearts. This is the seed sown along the path. Listen, it's a group of people. They don't care, and they don't want to care. That seed, it hits their heart, but they ignore it. They're not listening. They don't want to be bothered by God. They don't want to be bothered by Jesus. They don't want to be bothered by their wife who won't shut up about. In fact, maybe you came here because somebody's been nagging you to come to church and you're like, man, like just shut up already. I hear you. I'm sick of, I don't want to go. I'm going to go if you don't invite me ever again. And so you ended up here out of a sense of obligation to shut up your friend or your wife or your husband or whatever. You don't care. You don't want to care. The seed hits your heart and you're just like, I don't want anything to do with this. Why not? What do you have to lose to just listen? To entertain the idea of Jesus? I mean, really, what are you risking? What are you risking to just say, you know what, I'm just going to open my heart and listen. Now, I'm not going to promise anything, but I'm just going to listen and entertain the idea of what if Jesus. The second group, right, is the rocky soil. So the seeds fall in the rocky soil in verse 20, and it refers to someone, Jesus says, refers to someone who hears the word, receives it with joy. But since they have no root, they last only a short time. When trouble or persecution comes because of the word, they quickly fall away. This is a group that says it's like a surface fix. They never sink down the roots to find out if this is for real. You see, they're just looking for the next quick fix to give them some mend for whatever circumstance they're going through that they're having a tough time with. And if you showed up because you're just like, you don't have any idea, your relationship's blowing up and you're hoping something will help, and maybe this will help because the last thing didn't help, good. I'm glad you're here. Just put down some roots. Don't approach God like He's a Band-Aid for your life. Approach Him like He has the answers you've been searching for your entire life. Maybe you came here just because you're looking for something. It just seems so empty. You feel so stuck. Good. I'm glad you're here. But if you approach this Jesus thing like it's a quick fix for your circumstances, your relationships, your marriage, as soon as more trouble comes into your life, you're out. Listen, it's so good. Put down some roots. What do you have to lose by saying, all right, maybe this isn't a quick fix for my life. Maybe this is a long journey. And maybe I should entertain going on this long journey with Jesus and see where He takes me. Maybe I'm going to stop trusting myself for the quick fixes. And I'm going to ask Jesus to do the big fix in my heart. The last group, they were thrown in the thorns. And it says the seed falling among the thorns refers to someone who hears the word, but the worries of his life and deceitfulness of wealth choke out the word, making it unfruitful. You have this picture here of torn allegiances. It's so fitting that it happens in a thorn bush because there's so many people that live like this. They believe in Jesus, they want to follow Jesus, but at the same time, they want to follow their own career path, and they want to give Jesus part of their heart and keep their other part of heart for success and fame and fortune and being somebody. And I'm going to give Jesus some control and follow Him over here, but over here, I'm just going to do my thing because I want to do my thing. And it ends up creating a tension that does nothing but tear you apart. No wonder Jesus said, hey, be hot or cold, man. Don't be lukewarm. Be hot or cold. Because trying to approach your faith half in and half out is going to tear you apart and choke the life out of you. Why not just give Him everything? And then watch when He gives you back so much more than you ever let go of. The last one fell on good soil. That's that love and truth we were talking about. And that plant grew up, and it was a big life. It bore fruit, it replenished, it produced a crop yielding 160, 30 times what was sown. A big life with exponential impact on the people around him. You want to live a big life, it's about this. It's someone who hears the word and understands it. This is the one who produces a crop. You want to live a big life, be willing to go one step deeper. Be willing to trust God and say, I know you want to grow me, I'll follow you. Work hard at not just hearing the word, this is full of life, but understand it. Understand it and be willing to seek to apply it to your life and then actually implement it. And you will end up following Jesus. And he will do some really big things in your heart where it matters most. Listen, it can be hard talking about growth, but none of us are perfect. And that's okay. Why not just take one little step and being willing to trust Jesus? One little yes to him. And take one little step bigger. In the meantime, no matter who you are, whether you're willing or not, that's okay. We're just going to create good soil. Would you help us create good soil for people? Would you help us create good soil so as people are willing, God will grow them here? You know, all of this happens in the context of relationships. And so how do we as a church provide the context of relationships? We're going to be as big as you need us to be because let's just admit it, sometimes you need a place where you can creep into late and creep out of early and not really be noticed and just soak up love and just listen and just hear and maybe not sing the songs, but just listen to their words and just get fed and healed up. Sometimes we all need a big space to just fall in and out of where we can experience something bigger than us and hear something about God's love for us. So we're going to be as big as you need us to be, but we also have to be as small as you need us to be. And so to create the context of relationships to help you grow if you want to, we're launching an entire initiative that we call Grace Groups. These groups go all the way from these one-on-one groups called life change groups all the way up to care groups for people that are grieving and people that are struggling with issues or it's not built yet. We're starting this initiative. This has life groups where you show up in people's living rooms and hang out and learn about Jesus and just love each other and build some friendships and know some people and get known. It also has no groups where you show up and you learn all kinds of things if you're just hungry to learn more. These groups are an incredible context for relationships that'll help you on your journey. So as you see them pop up, maybe the challenge for you this morning is to just be willing to try them out. There's 5. Do you know why there's 5 types of groups? Because I'm not going to like some of them. And you're not going to like some of them either, and that's okay. There's 5 types of groups so that you can find one that fits you, that'll help you on your journey, because we're all different. God's doing something amazing in all of our lives. Would you be willing just to say yes and follow him as he leads you on a journey that takes you to a really big life? God wants to grow you. He wants to grow you because he loves you. Let's pray.